Our rules are simple, but the challenge is great. No shoulder pets, tames that can be carried, or typical boss dinos allowed. That means no Rexes, Therazinos, or any other dinos people normally use in these fights. Equipped with official server cap saddles, our 19 contenders will be backed by the commanding presence of a loyal Uteranus providing that extra boost. All competitors will go into battle with food to provide a healing effect. Herbivores will have plenty of sweet veggie cakes, and carnivores and omnivores will have cooked meat. No Overseer, because the movement speed required to get through the tech cave then chase the Overseer during the fight would shorten our list by a lot. It's important to note that tames in this series aren't typically used during boss battles because of the amount of mutations it would take to make them competitive. I'll be applying around 23,000 health and 1200% melee through mutations and experience levels to all dinos that compete. This will give them all a fair shot at defeating at least one of the Guardians. It won't always be feasible to reach these stats depending on the dinos I'm using, but I will let you know the amount of mutations and levels it took in order to reach it. All competitors start out with 50 base health and melee and 40 points in everything else before I apply mutations and experience levels. Use this information and decide on your own servers if the juice is worth the squeeze. Competitors are required to fight the Megapithecus, Broodmother, then Dragon on all difficulties, starting with Gamma, then Beta, finishing with Alpha. Their success will be annotated on this scorecard with a pass or fail system. Now let's introduce our competitor and see if they have what it takes. Thylacoleo. This creature can't enter the boss arena. If you attempt this, then they're going to be left behind when you teleport. Mods are needed to make this happen. This episode exists because of the high demand from the community. I hope you enjoy it. The Thylacoleo dwells in the redwoods and can often be found suspended from trees waiting on an unlucky survivor to travel within its reach so that it can pounce. These monsters can climb walls and have a non-stackable bleed effect with their primary attack. The competitor's stats were reached with 28 mutations and 60 experience levels on top of the base stats listed in the intro. 5 mutations and 30 experience levels went into health, and 23 mutations and 30 experience levels went into melee. Now let's see if these popular beasts have what it takes. The green portal was opened and the Undercoleos were ready to dive into the Gamma Megapithecus arena. First impression, not that impressive. We have 3 glaring problems right off the bat. 1, they don't hold aggro. 2, their bleed doesn't work on any mobs in the arena, not even the minions. And 3, sometimes they just don't attack. But one thing is for certain, the Gamma Megapithecus gets dropped pretty fast and the Undercoleos get their first pass. Up next we have the Gamma Broodmother. The Thyla actually does perform fairly well against the Broodmother. The not attacking bug has historically caused an early end for past competitors, but the Thyla hits hard, and the Broodmother causes the most issues, so maybe they'll actually be able to clear the board. Besides the high damage hits, I will say that it was very easy to get the Broodmother stuck on the Thylas, which helps out tremendously later, and especially during this fight, where the Undercoleos drop the Gamma Broodmother and earn their second pass of the night. The Undercoleos charge into the Gamma Dragon arena, and I'm thinking of 2 things. 1, will they be able to hit the dragon effectively? No, they can't. And 2, the problem I haven't pointed out yet, will their collision boxes cause me problems with maneuvering? Short answer yes, long answer yes it did. So after doing many of these episodes, it seems that the lower to the ground that the attack occurs, the less of a chance they're going to have to hit the dragon, and it's going to struggle with the Megapithecus if he's moving around a lot. The Thyla also has this unproportional collision that makes squeezing them together kind of difficult and actually caused me to have a hard time getting Commander Utes out of the attack arc of the dragon. This was actually the second time I attempted the Gamma Dragon because he beat my ass the first time, but not this time. The Thylas get a pass. Blue portal time means Beta Megapithecus time, and this fight shows off one of my favorite things about using the Thyla in the boss fights. Most creatures can't block the Beta Megapithecus because of its increased speed, but the Undercoleos do, and they do it so well that the big man is lifted up off the ground a bit as they tear him a new one. They're able to get through this fight with taking minimal damage during their 4th pass of the competition. The Beta Broodmother is an excellent benchmark fight. The Undercoleos performed great here and kept her at bay for a while. Once she had about 50% health remaining, she was actually able to wiggle her way through the sea of teeth and claws before she attempted to murder Commander Utes and I. I was slowed down due to the webs, but eventually I was able to worm my way around and put some Undercoleos between us, and the Beta Broodmother was stuck again. I didn't notice it right away, but the Araneos would actually pose a problem later. Did you notice it? I'll cover it during the Alpha fight, but they weren't much of an issue here, and the Tree Ninjas were able to put the Beta Broodmother into the dirt and earn another pass. The Beta Dragon was up next, and I may or may not have been a little worried. At a minimum, I knew it would be a challenge. I started off with some effective hits, and I was actually able to minimize damage on Commander Utes. Then something crazy happened. After the Beta Dragon landed the second time, I had him pinned. He was on a downslope and the small amount of elevation helped the Undercoleos land their shots. And yes, you're seeing this correctly. He literally flew over the Undercoleos just to get to Commander Utes. This Commander Utes was actually taking so much damage during this next encounter that I would have to abandon him before the 5th landing. That's right, the 5th landing, where I watched my precious Commander Utes burn to death. I swear, I've seen him burn to death so many times that I should name him Commander Crispy. It wouldn't be long before we started losing undercoleos left and right either. There was only a handful of Thylas left, but they were able to pull it off, clearing the beta bosses and earning another pass. Red Portal time is my favorite time of the competition because these bosses can be downright terrifying. The Alpha Megapithecus is always super fast to engage, and I can say that for a creature that can't hold aggro, the Thylacoleo is actually doing something pretty impressive in this fight. The Alpha Megapithecus has turbo mode on 24/7, and just watch how the Thylos still keep him at bay. The entire fight was just him being held in mid-air suspension while the Undercoleos munched on his Underchodio. It was a completely one-sided dominating performance from the Thylos, and they get another pass. Mama Broods is up next, and it took me a couple attempts for this one. Again, the Thylos do a remarkable job at keeping this horny demon at bay. So we reconciled our differences, and I started some pretty intense therapy back at base. Dr. Utes is my shrink, and he says that doesn't actually mean she wants to make sweet spider love to me, and it actually means that she wants to eat me. Whatever, Doc. Tomato, tomato. So, the reason why she wants to get to me so bad is because she wants to sign up for YouTube memberships or join my Patreon. You should too. Or else. Anyway, you don't want to join that. It's a silly place. If you remember earlier, I mentioned the Araneos. It was nice to be able to sit back and let the Thylos go to work on the Broodmother, but at the Alpha stage, the Araneos deal out some significant damage if they're left to their own devices. They keep spawning, and that damage adds up quickly. I didn't pay them any mind the first time, and I wound up paying the price. But this time, just a little bit of help went a long way. I wound up losing 2 Thylas in this fight, all because of the damage that the Araneos were dishing out. But after it was all said and done, the Undercoleos put the Alpha Broodmother on her ass and earned another pass. So far, so good, and I felt like this was going to end on a positive note. But the Alpha Dragon woke up this morning and chose violence. He was relentless all 3 times I attempted this fight. He barely lost any health and my armor was destroyed, and guess what? Commander Utes burned to death. The Thylas just don't bunch up real close like other creatures, and they were always kind of just sticking out just far enough for the dragon to nip them or light them on fire. Speaking of fire, it shredded the Undercoleos in this fight. It was brutal. No matter how I played it, Thylas just couldn't survive long enough in this fight. Half of them not attacking most of the time didn't do us any favors either, but we've worked through that before with other creatures. Towards the end of this fight, I only had a handful of Undercoleos left, each with a fraction of health remaining. One last fire breath, and a little dragon nibble, and it was all over. The Thyla I was riding was the last to die, so I gave myself up in submission since all the competitors were wiped. And that caps off the night with a fail. Since the Thylacoleo isn't able to enter the boss arenas without mods, we won't be adding him to the leaderboard, but here's the current standings if you need to get caught up. I highly recommend you check out the Megalossus video if you haven't already. This video was a blast to make, and I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback for me, please feel free to hit me up in the comments, or maybe just let me know if there's any other dinos you'd like to see. You can check out the community tab for a current list of what is planned. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.